Hi everyone, this is Mr. Zhang, and today we'll be going over the math homework for Class P. This is for session U29. For question number 1, it says, given that 500W is equal to 3 times 700, find the value of W. So to find the value of W, you have to get W by itself, and you can do that by dividing both sides by 500. Which is the inverse operation of multiplying, because there's 500 times W on the left. So here the zeros will cancel out on the right side if you divide by 500, and you get W isolated on the left, which is equal to 3 times 7 divided by 5, which is just 27 over 5, or 4 1/5. Now you do see the improper fraction here in choice D, so that's going to be your answer. Next, for question number 2, if 3 plus y divided by y is equal to 7, then y is equal to, so here you have to get y by itself. You can do so by multiplying by y on both sides. That gets rid of y in the denominator on the left side. So you end up with 3 plus y, which is equal to 7y on the right. From here you can subtract y from both sides, and here there's an invisible 1 as the coefficient. So this really means that 3 is equal to 7 minus 1, or 6y, and if you divide by 6 on both sides, you get that y is equal to 3 over 6, or 1/2. That's choice E. Next, for number 3, the positive integer x is a multiple of 9 and is also a multiple of 12. The smallest possible value of x is, so for this one you can go through all the choices and see that x has to be in the 9 times table. In order to be a multiple of 9, and choice A is wrong. B is also not in the 9 times table, neither is C. So you eliminated A, B, and C. 36 and 72 are both in the 9 times table, but you also want it to be part of the 12 times table. So here, both 36 and 72 are, but you want the smallest one, so it's going to be choice D. Next, for number 4, you have to find parentheses r minus s times parentheses t minus s plus parentheses s minus r times parentheses s minus t for all numbers r, s, and t. So what you can do here is to rewrite this expression. You see you have r minus s and then s minus r. So when you have a minus b and b minus a, these are called additive inverses. Or rather multiplicative inverses, so you have to multiply them to be opposites. Specifically, have to multiply by -1. So if you have -1 times a minus b, and distribute the -1, you get -1 times a, or negative a, and -1 times negative b would be equal to positive b. And negative a plus b is equal to b minus a. So what you can do here is replace r minus s with -1 times s minus r, and replace t minus s with s minus t, and -1. So when you multiply here, -1s will cancel out because -1 times -1 is +1. So you just turn this expression into s minus r times s minus t plus s minus r, s minus t. So here when you add these two together, you just have 2 times s minus r times s minus t. Now from here, you can go through all the choices and see which one looks like this. And you see that choice D has s minus r, but has t minus s, so that is wrong. Now, in order to make this look like choice E, you can multiply both of these by -1 again. So you can turn s minus r into r minus s times -1. And then s minus t turns to t minus s times -1. So you essentially can do the same thing for the last two. And here the negative ones will cancel out. You get 2 times r minus s times t minus s. So the answer is going to be choice E. What you can also do is just replace the number with r, s, and t. You can make r equal to 5, s equal to 3, and t equal to 2. And you just substitute in. That's another way to do this problem. Next, for number 5, in the figure above, squares 1, 2, and 3 are situated along the x-axis as shown. Find the area of the square 2. So here you have to use the coordinate system to help you out. If you know that the origin 0, 0, and this point here is 0, 10, you know that 10 minus 0 is 10. So that means that this square, which all sides are equal, has a side of 10. Now the last piece of info you can use is this point, which is 21, 4. So that means that you have to go up 4. So the side here will be 4. And this is 21, 0. So here you have a couple of squares. A square with a side of 10. A square with a side is 4. And you add them together, you get 14. That leaves 21 minus 14 for square 2, which is equal to 7. So that means that the middle square has a side of 7. So to find the area of a square, just have to do side squared, which is 7 squared, or 49, choice C. Next, for number 6, a certain cup holds 100 grams of butter. If a cake requires 75 grams of butter and a pie requires 225 grams of butter, then 4 cups of butter is not enough for any of these following except. So this cup can hold 100 grams and you have 4 cups. So that's 4 times 100 or 400 grams of butter. And here what you want is the choice that is not enough, so you want a lot. So for choice A, these 6 cakes, you know that each cake requires 75 grams of butter. So you have to do 6 times 75, and that's going to be 450, which is too much. So remember, you're looking for one that you can bake. For B, it's 2 pies. So each pie is 225. So you'll have to do 2 times 225. That's equal to 450 as well. That's also too much. For choice C, you have 3 cakes and 1 pie. The 3 cakes will be 3 times 75. That's going to be 225. And the pie is going to be another 225. So that's going to be the same 450, which you can't bake. For D, you have 2 cakes and 2 pies. So that's going to be, the 2 cakes is 2 times 75, which is 150. And the 2 pies, you know that you can already bake that. So that's going to be way more than 400. It'll be 450 plus 150, which will be 600. So that's wrong. The answer has to be choice C, based off the process of elimination. And in this case, you have 2 cakes, which is 2 times 75, which is 150, plus 1 pie, which is 225. And you've added up, that's equal to 375, which is less than 400, which means that you can bake this. Next, for number 7, you have a figure not drawn to scale. Which of the following is true about line L above? So 1 says the slope is -1. To find the slope, you have to do change in y over change in x, or rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be a minus 0, the change in y, divided by 0 minus a, the change in x. So that's going to be a over -a, or just -1. So Roman numeral 1 is true. So B, C, and D are wrong because they don't have 1 in it. Next, for choice 2, the distance between point 0a to point A0 is equal to a root 2. So here you actually can make a 45, 45, 90 special right triangle, or an isosceles right triangle, where each side is A. the origin 0, 0. So 0 to A is A, and then this 0 to this A also is A. So when you have a 45, 45, 45, 90 triangle, the sides and ratio of x, x, and x root 2. So here the hypotenuse is going to be A root 2. So choice 2 is true as well, so that means the answer has to be choice E, because A is wrong, it doesn't have numeral number 2 in it, and choice E is the only one with both 1 and 2 in it. And you see that choice 3 is also correct. It is 45 degrees, because it's the 45, 45, 90 right angle. 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Next, for number 8 rather, if 3 is added to the number and the sum is divided by 4, the result is 6. What is the number? So here I have to turn the word sentence to a number sentence, where you don't know what the number is, you can call it n. If you do n plus 3 and you divide this by 4, the answer is 6. So to solve this, you would have to multiply both sides by 4 to cancel out the denominator, and that'll give you n plus 3 is equal to 6 times 4, or 24. And if you subtract 3 on both sides, you get that n is equal to 21. That's choice D. Next, for number 9, if the sum of the 4 terms in each of the diagonal rows is the same, then A is equal to. So we have the diagonal row. You can look at the one on the right. If you add A plus 1, A plus 2, A plus 3, that would be 4A plus 6. And that's the same as if you add A plus 2, A plus 1, 8, and A. That's 3A plus 11. So here is your equation. 3A plus 11 is equal to 4A plus 6. Here we subtract 3A on both sides and subtract 6 on both sides. You get that A has to be equal to 5, and that's choice B. If you substitute back in a check, you'll have 5, 6, 7, 8. And here this is 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's the same 4 numbers. And here is a summary for this first page. Next, for number 10, the two dials here the two dials shown above operate simultaneously in the following manner. The hand in A turns counterclockwise, while the hand in B turns clockwise. So the arrows are shown there. Now the hand of A moves to 9 exactly at the same time. At the same moment, the hand of B moves to 3. And then the hand of A moves to 6, exactly the same moment that hand B moves to 6, and so on. If each hand starts at 12, when will each hand be at the end of 17 moves? So you just have to count forward. Now the pattern here is that after every 4 moves, so there's 1, 2, 3, then 4, you're back at the beginning. And that's true for both A and B. So you go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So if that's the case, you can just do 17 divided by 4, and you get 4 remainder 1. So the 4 complete sets, nothing happens, it just goes back to the beginning, but you just move forward once. Because there's 1 remainder. That means that for A, it'll be at 9, and for B, it'll be at 3. So that's choice E. So here the pattern is after every 4, it resets. So what you have to do is find the pattern and divide, but only look for the remainder. Next, for number 11, given that W is equal to 7R plus 6R plus 5R plus 4R plus 3R, which of the terms listed below may be added to W so that the resulting sum will be divisible by 7 for every positive integer R. So if you add up the coefficients, which is the number in front of the variable, you get 15 or 25R rather. And you want to make sure that if you add 2w, so that the sum will be divisible by 7. So right now, if you add 25 r plus something, that's equal to a multiple of 7. Well, we don't know what r is, but if we make this coefficient 25 a multiple of 7, then it doesn't matter what r is. That number will always be a multiple of 7. So here, to make 25 into a multiple of 7, you would need 28r. And you can get 28r if you add 3r. So 25r plus 3r is equal to 28r, and 28r is a multiple of 7, no matter what the r variable represents. So the answer is going to be choice E, 3r. Next, for number 12, if the perimeter of a square is 28 meters, then how many square meters are contained in its area? So we have two formulas for a square that you need to know. The perimeter is equal to 4 times side, and the area is equal to side squared. And all sides are equal. So if a perimeter is equal to 20, which is equal to 4s, divide by 4 on both sides, you get that s is equal to 5. So if you know the side is equal to 5, area will be side squared, or 5 squared, and that's equal to 25. Choice B. Next, for number 13, given that 80 plus a is equal to 32, negative 32 rather, plus b, find the value of b minus a. So to get b minus a, you want to make sure you have positive b, which is here, and you want to make sure a is negative. Now a is over here and it's positive, so to make that negative, you can subtract a from both sides. That way you have 80 is equal to negative 32 plus b minus a. This is what you want. So to isolate that, you have to add 32 on both sides. You get 112 is equal to b minus a. That's choice E. Here you don't know what b and a are, but the sum has stayed the same. The sum's always, or the difference, rather, b minus a is going to be 112. Next, for number 14, if x is a positive integer, which of the following must be an even integer? So x is positive, and you want to make sure it's even. So one way to do this is to go through all the choices and make x equal to any of the numbers, let's say 1, substitute in, and because it says must, that means always. So if you find a choice that isn't always even, then that can't be the answer. So for choice A, if x is equal to 1, you have 1 plus 3, or 1 plus 2, and that's equal to 3, and that's not even, so you eliminate A. For B, you have 2 times 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2 plus 1, which is going to be equal to 3. That's not it. For choice C, you have 3 times 1 plus 1. That's 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4, so that could be it. For choice D, you have 1 squared plus 1 plus 1. That's equal to 1 plus 1 plus 1, or 3. Again, you want even, so D is wrong. And last but not least, for E, you have 1 squared plus 1 plus 2. So you add it up, you get this equal to 3, or 4 rather. So here you have two choices left, just C or E. That's only for x is equal to 1. So what you can do is substitute another number, and let's make x equal to 2. So for choice C, you have 3 times 2 plus 1, which is 6 plus 1, which is equal to 7, and that's not odd. So for number E, or choice E, you have 1 squared plus 1 plus 2. And that's 1 plus 1 plus 2, which is equal to 4. So that is, in fact, even. So you eliminate choice C, because choice E became odd. We want to make sure it's even, and only choice E is left. It's the only one that's even. Next to number 15, given that 3/4 is less than x is less than 4/5, which of the following is the possible value of x? So here you can make sure the denominator is between 4 and 5, and the numerator is between 3 and 4. So what you can do here is to figure out the possible value for x. X has to be greater than 0.75. But x has to be less than 0.80. So some of these you can eliminate because they are nice fractions. If you multiply b times 5, for example, you get 85 over 100, or 0.85. That's outside the range, so that's wrong. For choice D, if you multiply by 5, you get 80 over 100. So this could be it. Remember, you want to be between 0.75, or actually, rather, this is exactly 0.8. And we don't have the strong inequality. We only have less than, not less than or equal to. So that means that D is also incorrect. For E, you have 6/7. So if you divide 6 divided by 7, 7 goes into 68 times. You see that this is already going to be wrong, because 7 goes into 45 times. This is 0.85 something, so that's wrong. So between choices A and C. So for choice A, you do 7 divided by 16. And here 16 goes into 70 4 times. And here 16 goes into 60. Another 4 times, or rather 3 times. But either way, this is going to be less than 3/4. That's wrong. It's also less than 1/2. So the correct answer has to be choice C. It's kind of close to 30 over 40, which is 75%. Next one, number 16. A painter earns $10 an hour for all the hours spent on a job. For a certain job, he worked from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. How much did he earn for the entire job? So from 7 to 5, so 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Here this is equal to 10 hours. And he earned $10 an hour. So that's going to be $100. And this is for 3 days. So 3 times 100 will be equal to 300. Then for the other part, he worked from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's 6 hours. And here 6 hours. If you multiply these 6 hours by $10 an hour, you get 6 times 10 or $60. And this is for 3 days. So we have to do 60 times 3, which is 180, and add that to the 300 to find the total, which will be $480. Choice C. Next one, number 17. Given triangle RST above, what's the value of B? So you know this is a triangle, and here these two sides are equal because they're both equal to A plus B, and that means that this is an isosceles triangle in which two sides are equal, and then their opposite angles are going to be equal as well. So 180, which is the total of all the angles added up together, is equal to, or 180 minus this 100 is equal to 80. That means that A plus B has to be equal to 40 degrees because a plus b, this angle plus this angle here has to be equal to 80. 2 times a plus b is equal to 80. So a plus b has to be equal to 40. Now we can do the same thing for this triangle here with these two base angles. So that's going to be 180 minus 120, or 60, and 60 divided by 2 is equal to 30. So the A has to be equal to 30, and then that means that B has to be 40 minus 30, or 10. So to figure out the value of angle B, it's going to be choice E, 10 degrees. So here you have to use the fact a triangle adds up to 180, and isosceles triangles has two angles equal. And here's a summary for this page. Next, for 18 and 19, I have to use this graph. So John works for 5 days. His daily earnings are displayed on the above graph. What's John's average daily wage during the 5 days? The key here is average, and the average means the total divided by the number of data. So in this case, he has 60. This is between, so that's going to be 75. This is also between, so this will be 45. This piece down here will be 35. And this piece will be 40. So you'll have to add everything up. 60, 75, 45, 35, and 40. So this will be 10, 20, and 1 on 4 is 5. So this is 25. The total here is 255 divided by 5 days. That's going to be $51 a day. Choice D. Next, for number 19, if John earned $35 on the 6th day, what would the difference between the median and the mode of the wages during the 6 days? So the median and the mode are two things got to find. The median is the middle number, and a mode is the most frequent. So to figure this out, you list everything out that he made before. So 60, 75, 45, 35, 40, and now we just have to add 35. And here we see that the mode is going to be 35. And the middle number, the median, you have to order the list. So you have to make sure it's from smallest to biggest. So you'll have 35, 35, 40, 45, 60, and 75. And because there's two things in the middle, it'll just be the average of 40 and 45. And that's 42.5. So between 42.5 minus 35, and you get 7.5, which is choice C. Next, for number 20, if A symbol B is equal to A plus 1 divided by B minus 1, where A and B are positive integers and B is greater than 1, which of the following is the largest? So to go through all the choices, this is your function, and your function is an input-output machine. And to solve this, you just have to plug this in. So here, for 2 symbol 3, that's 2 plus 1 over 3 minus 1, or 3 over 2. So this is 1.5. For B, you have 3 plus 1 over 3 minus 1, so that's going to be 4 over 2, or 2. So B is winning. For C, that's going to be 3 plus 1 over 5 minus 1, so that's going to be 4 over 4, which is equal to 1. So that's not winning. Next, for D, you have 4 plus 1 over 5 minus 1, so that's going to be 5 over 4, or 1.25. So again, that's not winning. For E, here you have 5 plus 1 in the numerator and 3 minus 1 denominator. That's 6 over 2, which is equal to 3. And this is the biggest. So the answer is going to be choice E. For number 21, in triangle RST above, RS and ST have lengths are equal to the same integer. All the following could be the area of the triangle RST, except, so here they have RS and ST are the same length and the same integer. So an integer is a whole number. And because it's length, it can only be positive. So it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Now, in this case, you have a right angle here, which is 90 degrees. So this is called an isosceles right triangle. Or 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Now, the sides are in a ratio of x, x, and x root 2. It turns out we don't need that in this case because we just want the area. And the area of all triangles is 1/2 base times height, where the base is perpendicular to the height, which is what you have here. So the area is going to be 1/2 the base and the height, which will be the same. We don't know what it is. We'll call it x. So 1/2 x times x is 1/2 x squared. And now this has to be equal to the choices. Now because x is a whole number, because it's an integer here, that means that if you take all the choices and you double it, it has to be a whole number. So if you take choice A, for example, if the area is equal to 1/2, you double this, you got 1. That is a perfect square, so that could be it. For choice B, if you double, you get 4. That's another perfect square. For choice C, you double this, you get 9. For choice D, if you double, you get 25. For choice E, if you double it, you get 40. That's not a perfect square, so it cannot be 20. For example, if area is equal to 1/2 x squared, set that equal to 20. Here you would have to multiply both sides by 2. And the 2 and 1/2 cancels out. You get that x squared is equal to 40, which means that x won't be a whole number, because 40 is not a perfect square. So the answer here is choice E. The key is to figure out that for isosceles triangles, it's 45, 45, 90. You have this ratio, and the area is 1/2 base times height. And the key is that you must have an integer. Next, for number 22, a rectangular solid has dimensions of 2 feet by 2 feet by 1 foot. If it is sliced into small cubes, each with an edge of 0.1 feet, what is the maximum number of such cubes that can be formed? So this rectangular solid, it's 2 by 2 by 1. Let's draw this more to scale. So it's 2 by 2 by 1. So in this case, it's sliced into an edge with 0.1 foot. So 0.1 feet means that in 1 foot, you can have 10 cubes. And you multiply both sides by 10. You figure out that 1 foot will have 10 cubes. So there will be 10 cubes here. Here you'll have 20 cubes. And here you have 20 cubes. And then if you connect the lines, you see a lot of little teeny tiny cubes here. But the large side will be, if you take 2, 2, and 1, and you multiply it by 10 for each one, you see that the side will have 20 cubes by 20 cubes by 10 cubes. So the number of cubes will be 20 times 20 times 10, or 4 followed by 3 zeros. So choice E, 4,000. Next, for number 23, a circle is inscribed in a square. If the perimeter of the square is 40, what is the area of the circle? So inscribed just means inside. So you have a square, and a circle fits inside the square perfectly. So you want to draw this diagram here, and the perimeter of the square is 40. So remember, perimeter of a square is equal to 4 times the side. That's equal to 40, which means that the side is equal to 10. So it's a 10 by 10 square. And the diameter of the circle is equal to the side of the square in this case, because the circle is inside the square. So the diameter is equal to 10, which means that the radius would be equal to half of that, or 5. So to figure out the area of the circle is pi r squared. And this will be pi times 5 squared, or 25 pi. So that's choice D. So here you have the area of a circle, and again, the keyword inscribed means inside. Next, for number 24, this figure is not drawn to scale. In the figure above, AC is a straight line segment, and line segments are drawn from B to D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K respectively. Which of the following angles has a degree measured that can be found? So here you want to figure out what the angle is, and you know that AC is a straight line, and a straight line means that they are supplementary, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So if you take the A, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that means that's 6A plus the 3 B's. You combine like terms, that's equal to 180 degrees. And here you can factor out a 3. So you have 2A plus B left, and that's equal to 180. So if you divide by 3 on both sides, you get that 2A plus B is equal to 60. So that's all that you know here. You only have one equation for 2 variables, so you can't solve for both of them. But you do know that 2A plus B is equal to 60. So what you want to find is which angle has 2 A's and a B in it. So for choice A, it says FBG. That is this point here. That's just B. You can't figure that out. For EBG, choice B, that's A plus B, which again you can't tell. For choice C, it's DBG. And look at DBG, you see 2 A's and a B. And you know this has to be equal to 60 degrees over here. So that's probably the answer. For choice D, you want to double check. GBI is 2B, which you can't tell. And GBJ is 2B plus A, or A plus 2B, which again you can't figure out. So the answer is choice C. Next, for 25, if AX is equal to R and BY is equal to R minus 1, then which of the following is the correct expression for X? So you know that A times X is equal to R, and B times Y is equal to R minus 1. So you want X in terms of B, Y, R, and A. So here you can get X by itself if you divide by A. So you know X is R over A, which you don't see that as a choice here, so you have to do another substitution. Here in the second equation, you can get R by itself. You can't get A by itself. So here, to get R by itself, you have to add 1 on both sides. You get that R is equal to BY plus 1. You'll take this and you'll substitute into the numerator. So you get that X. It's going to be BY plus 1 over A, and that's choice A. So here, this is the summary for this page. Next, for the next page, you have to compare and contrast. You choose column A if A is greater, B if B is greater, C if they're equal, and D is if you can't tell, based off the information that's given. So for number 5, X is any non-negative integer. So non-negative means 0 or positive, and an integer is the whole number. So that means that X could be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So I want to compare the minimum value of 4x squared plus 1 and the minimum value of 5x squared plus 1. Well, to make this minimum, which means the smallest, you want to make sure x is the smallest. So if x is the smallest, then 4x plus 1 is the smallest value. And the smallest value for x is 0. So this would be 4 times 0 squared plus 1, or just 0 plus 1, which is equal to just 1. And turns out the same for the other choice. This is 5 times 0 squared plus 1, which is 0 plus 1, or 1. So they're both going to be equal here. So the answer is going to be choice C. Next for number 6, you have 4 divided by A is equal to B divided by 4. So in this case, you'll have to cross multiply to solve. So you get that AB is equal to 16. And then after that, you don't know what A and B could be because you have one equation, but you have 2 variables. So you can't solve for A or B individually. You know that A is 16 over B, or B is equal to 16 over A, but you don't know what these could be. For example, you can have A equals to 1 times 16, but it could also be 16 times 1. So A could be bigger, B could also be bigger. They could also be equal if they're both equal to 4. So you can't really tell here. So the answer is going to be choice D. Next for number 7, you have xy plus 7 versus x times y plus 7 in parentheses. Here you can distribute. You get that xy plus 7x, and compare that to xy plus 7. So here, you really just want to compare 7 versus 7x. Well, in this case, it could be 0 if x is equal to 0. So they could be the same. If x equals 0, they're going to be equal, so it'll be choice C. But if x is equal to 10, then it will be choice B. But if x is equal to negative 10, then it will be A. So again, you can't tell. The answer is going to be choice D. Next for number 8, A and B are each lengths of the segment on the number line shown above. So you have B is negative 4 to this point here. And this point is from the distance to the 0. So this distance here will be negative A, and B will be from negative 4 to negative A, whatever this distance is. So you want to compare 4 minus A to B. So here you can, to help you guys out, you can assume a number for A. If A is equal to, let's say, 3, this will be negative 3 on the number line, and the distance from negative 4 to 3 will be 1. So remember, A and B are the lengths, so they're going to be always positive. And 4 minus A will always be equal to B. So the answer is going to be choice C. Here, A plus B, the distance A and B has to be equal to 4. So B will be 4 minus A. Next for number 9, you have this triangle. You want to compare x to 8. So this is 90 degrees. You have 60 degrees here, which means the top has to be 30 degrees. Because the 3 angles of a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. This is your 30, 60, 90, and the sides and ratio of x, 2x, and x root 3. So x is equal to this 5. This is really a 2x, so this side's actually equal to 10. And this will be 5 root 3. So I want to compare 5 versus 8. 8 is going to be greater, so the answer is going to be choice B. Or rather, x is equal to 10. Let me rewrite this. So instead of x, because we use x, we can use A. So A is equal to 5. This x is equal to 2A, which is equal to 10. And this is A root 3, which is equal to 5 root 3. So 10 is actually greater than 8. So the answer is going to be choice A. Next for number 10, you have to let x symbol y be equal to x squared times y for all real numbers x and y. You want to compare r symbol s versus negative r symbol s. So this is your function, and your function is just an input-output machine. And all you have to do here is substitute in. So r symbol s will be r squared times s. Negative r symbol s will be equal to negative r in parentheses squared times s. And the negative r times negative r is just r squared. So it turns out that they're going to be equal for number 10. Next, for number 11, R, S, and T are equal to 6, 5, and 4, but not necessarily in that order. And you know that S is less than R. So you have S is less than R. So in this case, R could be 6, S could be 5, or R could be 6, S could be 4, or R could be 4, or rather 5, and S could be 4. So if you want to compare S plus T minus R, you can figure out the last case. T could be 4, 5, or 6. So you want to compare these are the three scenarios. Scenario 1, Scenario 2, or Scenario 3, or Case 1, Case 2, and Case 3. So for Case 1, S plus T will be 5 plus 4, and you want to subtract 6. So that's going to be 9 minus 6, or 3. So in this case, 3 is less than 4. For Case 2, we have 4, 6, and 5. You have S plus T will be 4 plus 5. I'm going to subtract 6. That's going to be 9 minus 6, which is 3, which is still less than 4. And for Case 3, you have S plus T will be 4 plus 6. You want to subtract 5. That's going to be 10 minus 5, which is equal to 5, which is now greater than 4. So in two of these cases, you have choice B, but in one case, you have choice A. So for number 11, you can't tell. It's going to be choice D. Because it could be either B, or for case 3, it will be A. So you can't tell. So that's why I have to choose D. Next, for number 12, you have this diagram. You want to compare A plus B versus 90 degrees, and you know that P is perpendicular to Q. So this symbol means perpendicular, which means 90 degrees. It's a right angle. So P and Q make a right angle, and that means that A and B also has to make a right angle because these are opposite angles. So opposite angles are equal. So in this case, A plus B will have to be equal to 90 degrees. The answer is going to be choice C. Next, for number 13, you have 2A plus 2B is equal to 14, and 3X plus 3Y is equal to 24. We're going to compare the average of A and B and the average of X and Y. So average means the total divided by the number of data. In this case, for 2A plus 2B, if you divide both sides by 2, you can cancel out the coefficient, and you just get A plus B is equal to 7. So then this is your sum. So if you take the sum and you divide it by 2, you'll figure out the average of A and B, which is 7 over 2, or 3.5. For X and Y, you can divide both sides by 3 to cancel out this coefficient. And that would mean that X plus Y has to be equal to 8. And if you divide by 2 here, you get that the average is equal to 4. So in this case, 4 is greater than 3.5. So the answer is going to be choice B for number 13. And next I have this grid, and Q, L, M, P, and R, K, L, S are rectangles. So we have these rectangles here, and you want to compare B times B minus A versus the area of this rectangle Q, K, and P. So for Q, K, and P, that's the shaded part here. You know this length has to be this length. And the origin, remember, 0 to 0, 0, comma 0. So you want to compare 0 to A. So this will be A minus 0, or just A. And this length will be B to A, or B minus A. So the area is going to be A times B minus A. So you want to compare A times B minus A versus B times B minus A. You just want to compare A and B. See which one is greater. And here you know that B has to be greater than A because B is higher than A in terms of the y-axis here. this is y equals b, and this line is y equals a. So b has to be greater than a, which means that choice A will be greater, because a b minus a is the same. So you're just really comparing b and a, and b is greater. Next for number 15, PQRS is a square and the four shaded regions are quarter circles. So I want to compare the ratio of the area of the square to the total shaded area versus 2 divided by pi. So because these are four quarter circles and a square has all right angles, you can rearrange this into just a circle inscribed in a square if you just rearrange the pieces. So here, you don't know what the radius is, so you can call the radius r. The area of the circle will be pi r squared. The area of the square will be, this side will be 2r times 2r. It will be 2r in parentheses squared, or 4r squared. So the shaded area will be pi r squared, and you want to take the square to the circle. So it's 4r squared divided by pi r squared. And here you can rewrite this as a fraction, and the r squared cancels out. So you have 4 over pi. And here 4 over pi is greater than 2 over pi because the numerator is greater. The denominator is the same, so because the bigger the numerator, the bigger the fraction. So the answer is going to be choice B. And here's the summary for this page. All right, for the last page, number 16, given that r is equal to a plus b and s is equal to b minus a, when a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 4, find the value of r minus s. So you know that a is equal to 5, b is equal to 4, so r will be equal to 5 plus 4, which is equal to 9. And then s will be equal to 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. So r minus s will be 9 minus negative 1, or 9 plus 1, which is equal to 10. All right, next one, number 17. A bag contains exactly 4 blue marbles, 7 green marbles, and 8 yellow marbles. Fred draws marbles at random from the bag without replacement, one by one. If he does not look at the marbles he draws out, how many marbles will he have to draw out before he knows for sure that on his next draw he will have 1 marble for every color? So here you have to assume the worst case scenario. So this is a game where you want a marble of each color in order to win. You assume that he's very unlucky. So for example, he can draw 8 yellow marbles first. So even after 8 marbles taken out, he can have all yellow. Then he can have the 7 green marbles. So here you can draw 15 marbles and you still have the same, or only 2 colors. So you still didn't win this game. But the next draw, on the 16th draw, it'll have to be blue. So he needs to draw, or he needs to take 15 marbles out. Before knowing that his next draw will be blue. So the answer here is 15 and not 16. All right, next for number 18, if 12 is the average arithmetic mean of 5 different integers, and each integer is greater than 0, then what is the greatest that any one of these integers could be? So 12 is the average of 5 different numbers. You have 5 numbers, and the average is equal to the total divided by the number of data, and that's equal to 12. So in this case, the total divided by 5 is equal to 12. If you multiply both sides by 5, you get that the total is equal to 60. So these 5 numbers have to add up to 60. Now, to make one of them the greatest, then the other numbers have to be the smallest. So the smallest integers, and they all have to be different and greater than 0. Remember, integer is a whole number. The smallest one will be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So the total of these 4 will be 10. That leaves 50 for the biggest number. So the biggest number can be equal to 50. Next, for number 19, a classroom has 12 empty seats, or 12 seated students, 5 students at the board, and 7 empty seats. If 3 students leave the room to enter and all sit down, how many empty seats will there be? So you have, right now, 17 students. And you have 7 empty seats. So, assuming these 5 students will sit there, you really have 7 empty seats. 2 are totally empty. And 5 people on the board. Now 3 students will leave the room and 2 enter. So if 3 students leave and 2 enter, that means that there's a net loss of 1 student, because you have more people leaving than entering. So if you lose 1 student, right now you have 2 total empty seats. You'll now have 3 totally empty seats. So the answer here is going to be 3. Next, for number 20, how many different pairs of parallel edges are there on a rectangular solid? I'm going to compare parallel edges on this rectangle. So here, to figure out the parallel sides, you have, if you just do the horizontal one, you have those pair. So if you label everything, A, B, C, D, you know that A and B are parallel, A, C are parallel, A, D are parallel. Then for B, you already have BA, so you want to do BC and also BD. And you already have CA and CB, so you only want CD. And for Ds, you already have DA, DB, and DC. So you have 6 horizontally. Then you also want the vertical ones, so you can call these E, F, G, and H. So you have the same 6. So EG, EF, EH, then FG, FH, and then GH. You have another 6 there. And last but not least, you want the ones that are going into the board or into the paper. You can call that X or W, X, Y, Z. So you have WX, WY, WZ, XY, XZ, and YZ. So all in all, you have a total of 6, 6, and 6, or 18 pairs of parallel sides. Next, for number 21, here, if the sum of 2r and 2r plus 3 is less than 11, find the possible value for r. So here, the sum of these two will be 2r plus 3, and it's less than 11. So if you add everything up, you have 4r plus 3 is less than 11. Subtract 3 from both sides. You get that 4r has to be less than 8. Divide by 4, you get r has to be less than 2. So r could be 1. Or could be anything less than 2. You can't bubble in negative numbers, so you also want this to be greater than or equal to 0. Next, for number 22, given that the sum of 2 angles of a quadrilateral is 90 degrees, find the average or the arithmetic mean of the measures of the other 2 angles. So here you know that a quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure. And the 4 angles in a quadrilateral adds up to 360 degrees. The formula here is for an n-sided polygon. the formula for the total angle, the total internal angles, that is, will be n minus 2 times 180. So in this case, n is equal to 4. So 4 minus 2 is 2 times 180 is equal to 360. Now from that, you know that two of the angles, the sum adds up to 90 degrees. So let's say these two angles, they add up to 90 degrees. So then the other two angles will be 360 degrees total minus 90 degrees. And that's going to be equal to 270. So then to find the average, which is the key word here, remember average is the total divided by the number of data. In this case, the total angle is 270. And you have those two angles left, 1, 2. You divide by 2, you get 135. So that's going to be the average of the other two angles. Here the formula that you need to know is n minus 2 times 180. Next, for number 23, if AD is a straight line segment in the figure above, find the value of x plus y. So a straight line around angle C means that this is a straight angle, or that they are supplementary. And because they're supplementary, it means that they add up to 180 degrees. So that means that x plus y plus 80 is equal to 180 degrees. Here you can subtract 80 from both sides and get that x plus y is equal to 100. Now you don't know what x and y are individually. You can't actually solve for them. You have one equation and two variables, but you can solve for the sum. The sum always has to be 100. Next, for number 24, if x squared plus 2xy plus y squared is equal to 25, and x plus y is greater than 0, and x minus y is equal to 1, then x is equal to. So the first thing to note is that this is one of your factoring patterns. So when you factor this, it becomes x plus y squared, or x plus y times x plus y, and here you have to use the FOIL method to do double distribution. This is x squared plus xy for the first and outer, and then the inner term and the last term is plus, let me fix that, it's x squared plus xy, and then the inner and the outer term is plus yx or xy, then plus y squared. And from here, these two are like terms, so this will be x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. So this just factors into x plus y in parentheses squared, that's equal to 25. Turns out that they're both perfect squares, so you can do a square root on both sides and get that x plus y is equal to 5, or x plus y is equal to negative 5. Remember, negative 5 squared is also positive 25. I wanted to keep in mind this 2 tells you that there are two potential answers here. It's a degree of 2, which means there's two potential answers. In this case, it's a positive and a negative case. Now, we can eliminate the negative case because we know that x plus y has to be greater than 0. So we eliminate the negative case. You know x plus y has to be positive 5. So if x plus y is equal to 5 and x minus y is equal to 1, here, this is your system of equations. And you can solve for the system by using the elimination method, where if you add the two equations together, the y and the negative y's will cancel out, and you have x plus x, or 2x, is equal to 5 plus 1, which is 6. You can divide by 2 and figure out that x is equal to 3, and that's the answer. You can also solve for y. If x is 3, y has to be equal to 2, because 3 minus 2 has to be equal to 1. And then from here, you can substitute back in to solve for x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. That's 3 squared plus 2 times 3 times 2 plus 2 squared. That's 9 plus, this is 6 times 2, or 12, plus 2 squared is 4. So 9 plus 12 plus 4 is exactly 25. So everything does check out. next to number 25 in the figure above, if sides LM and NM are cut apart from each other at point M to create two free swinging segments, and each is folded down to LN in the direction shown by the arrows, what will the length in meters of the overlap of the two segments be? So here you have LM and NM are cut apart from each other at point M, so you cut this. So this swings down, and then the other part also swings down, and you want to figure out this overlap. So if you swing the 6M down, this piece, I'll just have this piece in orange, will then be here. This will be 6M. And then the other piece, which is 10M, essentially is you make a circle. When you eventually make a circle here, and you swing this down, it'll be this distance that I have in red, and this will be 10M. So if you add the two pieces, 10M and 6M, that's equal to 16M, but the actual length is just 12. You gotta subtract 12M to figure out the overlap, and that's equal to 4M. So in this case, you want to discard the meters, so this is in 4 meters. The answer is 4 as the overlap. And here's a summary for this last page. All right, thank you everyone for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. All right, bye everyone.